Today we're going to be making gyoza. So I'm going in with my circle cookie cutter and outlining it onto a cream felt with my disappearing ink pen. From there, once you have it outlined, move forward with cutting out the circle. Now we're going to start the folding of the gyoza. So you're going to fold it in half like a taco, and then we're going to fold the top piece of the felt. You'll kind of make an S shape with the felt, which will create a fold in the top, and you will smooth down that fold with your thumb. Once you have it nice and flat, you will take your pin and you'll pin it in place so that it doesn't move as you're making the rest of the folds. You're going to be making a total of 5 folds for the top piece of your gyoza. So you're going to move over again just a little bit and make that S shape in the felt, and then smooth it down, smooth that edge down so that it's nice and flat before pinning it. As you are making these folds on the front piece, just make sure that as you're going that the edge of your circle is still lining up, that it's not getting too crooked or anything as you're going. So you're just gonna go ahead and continue to make the rest of your folds. And like I said, you're gonna be making 5 of them. And then once you're done pinning, your front piece should look something similar to this, and this is what the top will look like, and then the back side will be smooth. So from there, we're gonna move on to stitching. So I'm gonna go in with my disappearing ink pen, and I'm going to draw a line along the top part of the gyoza. You're going to be using this line to help you with stitching the gyoza closed. So you're going to be following this line as you're making your stitches. So just try to make it as even as possible. You don't have to be, make it perfect, but you just go all the way along the top end, and then we'll start with our stitches, which the stitch we're going to be using today is your back stitch. So you're going to take your needle and thread and start on the inside of the gyoza. This allows you to hide the knot that's at the bottom of your thread. So you're going to come up through the top, and then you're going to follow your line and push your needle back through both pieces of felt this time, and then pull tight. You will then move over a stitch length from your first initial stitch and come back up through the top. And then once you've pulled that through, you're going to go backwards. So you're going to take your needle and you're going to put it at the end of your first initial stitch and push it back through the back side. And then again, come up a stitch length away from your last stitch, pull it all the way through, and then go back to the end of your last stitch and push it all the way through the back. This is your back stitch. You will continue this stitch along that whole line that you drew on. Once you get closer to those pins, I will take a pin out. I will keep my thumb pinched on that fold so that it doesn't move as I'm stitching the fold together. So again, you'll do this stitch along that whole line that you drew and removing pins as you get closer to them. But once you get to that last pin, we're not going to close it up just yet. We want to keep a hole open so that we can add polyfill to the gyoza. Now that I've gotten to the last pin, I'm going to go ahead and take that out. I'm not going to cut off my thread or anything because I'm going to finish up that stitching once I've added polyfill. But I'm just going in and adding as much polyfill so that it gives it a nice firmness. It is a little hard to get the polyfill in there. So just kind of use your fingers. I also have this little tool that I use. It's linked in my Amazon shop. It has little claws at the end, which cling onto or grab a hold of the polyfill, and you kind of just twist it, and it makes it smaller, and it's like the perfect tool for stuffing felt food, especially small food like this. I use it a lot when it comes to like my pizza crust because it's so small. I can't get my fingers in there. So it's definitely a tool I would recommend if you're doing felt food, especially for the smaller foods. But once I have it nice and firm, I will go back, and what you will need to do is you'll need to make that last fold again. So because you took your pin out, so make that S shape in your felt, and then continue your back stitch to the very end. So just pinch it with your thumb so it doesn't move as you're stitching the rest of it. And then when you get to the end, you're going to want to finish on the back side. So you want your needle to be pushed through to the back side so that you can tie it off. So what you'll do is once your needle is towards the back side, you will then take your needle and you'll go through the felt again, but you'll come up between the two pieces or two folds, right? And this is where you're going to put a knot in your thread. So you'll take a little bit of felt with your needle, and then before pulling that thread all the way through, you are going to run your needle through that hoop, not once, but twice, and then pull tight to create a knot in the thread. And then I will run my needle back through the felt and cut off the extra. And there you go. You have a perfect little gyoza or dumpling. And you can definitely stop there. Now, I usually will go in with my hot glue gun and secure these folds. Sometimes when you're stuffing it with polyfill, it will tend to pop out those folds a little bit. So I just want to make sure that they kind of stay where they're at. So I just put a little dot of glue in between each fold and then press it with my thumb to secure that so it doesn't go anywhere. Another thing I love to do is add a crispy bottom. So I will take an oval shape and I'll outline that onto a tan felt. And then I will center that onto the bottom of the gyoza. And I will secure it with just a little bit of glue in the center so that it doesn't move as I'm stitching it. Now you will then take your needle and matching thread and you'll start on the underside of the tan felt because you want to be able to hide the knot at the end of your thread. And then from there, you're going to go back down through the cream felt along the edge of the tan felt. But then you're going to go sideways and up into the tan felt. It's a little awkward at first, but this will secure the tan piece onto the gyoza, and you will just continue this stitch along the whole edge of the tan felt. So you're going to take your needle, go back down through the cream felt, and kind of go sideways and up into the tan felt. Once you get back to your first initial stitch, you want to secure everything that you just did. So I will push my needle back into the cream felt and then I'll go sideways into my first initial stitch on the cream side, right? I come up through the cream side, not the tan side. So then I will then drop my needle down into the tan felt, push it through and come back up through the cream side, just along the edge. And then I will run my needle through that hoop, not once, but twice, and then pull tight, which will create that knot in the thread. Then I'll run my needle back through the gyoza and then cut off the extra. And there you go, you have a crispy gyoza. Now, if you're thinking, Elena, these are so cute, but I have no time to make these, that's totally fine. I have you covered. I will be selling these on my Shopify account, which is linked in my bio. And I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know if you have any questions.